Warriors. How are you guys? It's been a while since I've been able to say good morning, Justice Warriors. I don't think I've come on for a live before noon in a while, at least not for a live conversation, maybe for the yoga, which again, I apologize for torturing you guys with that. Today it is Wednesday. It's June 5th. It's just almost a quarter to noon. And I couldn't believe it when I woke up this morning and found out that there had already been a verdict in the latest Foxy Noxy trial. So I didn't think that was going to happen until next month. And, I woke up this morning and it's Wednesday and it said that this decision was made on Wednesday. And I was like, wait, last Wednesday? How did I miss that? But no, it was this Wednesday. Hey, Sherry, good morning. How are you doing? Lovely to see you, my dear. So, yeah, I saw you on a couple of lives last night, didn't I? You and I were running the streets of YouTube, huh? Was it first Jules of All Trades? She did an amazing live just recapping the entire freaking testimony of Brett Payne. And that was great. I'm really glad that I was able to catch that live with her and with you, Sherry. How are you today? And then we met up again over in Mr. Mark's live, and he's just been on a roll, hasn't he? I really appreciate the work that he's doing on the Kylie Rodney case. My goodness, I know that Shan feels a little torn that she's been so busy gardening that she hasn't been able to do the Kylie Rodney videos that she likes to do. But we know where her heart is. And same with Ara. I know Ara's finishing out her school year. So that's just got to take precedence. Being a teacher is so exhausting. Gardening is so exhausting. I like to say life is so exhausting, right? I mean, nothing is easy. I can't believe the things that I am able to get done and accomplish, and then all the things that fall by the wayside. And then I feel kind of bad for not keeping up with the gardening or this or that or the other thing. And then I'm like, wait, I've been doing my yoga certification. I'm still doing my YouTube. I still have all these children. I mean, they're not little, they're getting bigger, but just like people tried to warn me when they were little, it only gets harder. like you think physically it's so exhausting when they're toddlers and you're chasing them around. You're like, how could it possibly be any harder than this? Just the mental, psychological gymnastics that the teens will put you through. Hey, Anna Bees, you too, girlfriend. Were you in both of the lives, or did I just see you in Mark's live last night? I forget. And maybe there was another one. I don't even remember. It's so fun to be able to catch what you can when it's live. It's fun to see it on the replay crew as well, but it's definitely more fun to be there live, in my opinion. So how are you, my dear? Mrs. G's. Thank you, Anna Bees. Yes, I was there in Mrs. G's. I actually fell asleep in that. So that was a lovely way to fall asleep, because I hadn't caught one of hers in a while. I'd forgotten. I wasn't able to keep up with all of her name changes. And then yesterday, I think it was in Mark's chat, she addressed me directly, like, do you like my new handle? And I thought it might be her. So yeah, I fell asleep too, LOL. Not to say that it wasn't interesting, but just to say that she's got such a great storytelling voice. I know she has children too, and I'm sure she reads them bedtime stories. So it's kind of like she's reading us bedtime stories, huh? It's kind of one of the biggest compliments I've gotten from some of my friends when they would tell me that they watch my YouTube channel to go to sleep. And I would totally take it as a compliment, like that my voice was comforting and not boring. Oh, wait, here's my my thingamabob. Let's see if the microphone testing. Is it going to make a difference? Testing. My guess is that it won't really make a difference. Like I've said recently, because of the way I have my laptop set up, Like if I have it set on a tablecloth, then I think it does make a difference. But the way I have it kind of freestanding, I don't think it really does. But I like to try to use the mic since I have it, since I know where it is. That was ridiculous. I had taken it with me in a briefcase somewhere, and then it was like gone forever. I was like, where in the world did I put it? I do that to myself all the time. And Anna, thank you for letting me know. Don't hear a difference. So, you know that I've been really caught up in the Meredith Kircher case for a few years now. And I was excited that it was coming back into the news over recent months with the conviction or the trial against Amanda Knox for slander, for slandering Patrick. I always mess his last name up. Lumumba. He's a Congolese, black skin. He had been the restaurant and bar owner. I think it was a bar, but they sold food too, where Amanda and Meredith worked. And he had canceled Amanda's shift that night, last minute. And then he had been trying to get Meredith on board. So Amanda implicated him. We all know that. And he spent 2 weeks in jail, 2 weeks that he'll never get back. Plus, when he got out of jail, he lost his business. He lost his home. He was married with children. I think that might have gone sideways too. I'm not 100% sure on that. Hey, Mr. Mark, nice to see you. Hey, Fred. Lovely to see you both. Thanks for coming in. Sorry about the no notification. I don't know what we can do about that. So this Patrick Lumumba, who she pretty much destroyed his life, destroyed his business, and he literally had to leave the country. There was so much stigma against him. Oh, Mark got this notice. Awesome. Very cool. Thank you for letting me know. And so the motion for this current court activity for Amanda, I believe it was brought on by her trying to get it dismissed. So she brought it on herself to bring herself back into the limelight again, which, you know, she loves doing and she just can't stop herself. But she failed to make the change that she was hoping to make. Thank goodness, because, you know, a little bit of justice goes a long way when you're basically not getting any justice. And I'm sure Meredith Kircher's family and the majority of the Italian population was very relieved that the charges against her were upheld. I would imagine very relieved. And, you know, she was just devastated that she lost. Oh my God, you should see pictures of her from yesterday. She's wearing a pink top and I think baby blue skirt or reverse. But she's all about the pastels. She's all about the little house on the prairie. What, me? Little innocent me that carried a SEX toy around on my keychain? I mean, that girl is like a total case. So, yeah. What does Anna say? I need to resub. Yeah, definitely check out, make sure you're resub. Let me run through my stuff. Please make sure you're still subscribed, or if you're not subscribed, please consider hitting that button. It only takes a second and there's no commitment and it helps the channel a lot. And I need all the help I can get. Share a video of mine if you like and you think you know somebody who would like my channel, and turn on your notification bell to ring in case it does, like it did with Mark, but not Fred. And everything that I say is simply my opinion for the sake of starting a conversation, hoping to open up a discussion and learn something and be educational. All my videos are made for YouTube. It's an entertainment platform. So I'm so happy to see you guys today. I just wanted to kind of, with a broad stroke, catch up on many of the cases that we like to stay caught up on. The Micah Miller case is one of the newest that is making news every day. I haven't spoken about Kate Middleton in a while, you guys. Have you been keeping up with that? She still hasn't been seen, like, confirmed since Christmas. I just checked on Google yesterday. That was 163 days ago today, I think. So I had been waiting to say, oh, it's been 150 days since she was last seen. That's confirmed, but I missed it. It was a couple weeks ago. So now it's a long time. It's a very long time. And, coming up on an entire solid 6 months. And this is somebody who is literally the most photographed person on our planet, I think, up until Christmas. If not the most photographed, then definitely one of the most photographed. So I stand by the opinion that I developed a few months ago that she could not be of the living. And I hate to say that. I hope I'm wrong. I wanted to add that to my video from yesterday too, when I was talking about our dear Ms. Kylie Rodney and what I thought probably happened to her. I really hope that I'm incorrect. I hope so badly that I'm incorrect I could cry. I really don't want to be right about some of these things. And I'm afraid that I am. Otherwise, I wouldn't say it. I wouldn't say it just for fodder. I definitely think that Kylie was violated in the same fashion that Meredith Kercher was violated. And one of the many things that those two victimizations have in common, I believe that a female masterminded it for each of them. And while we're bringing up female masterminds of crimes, of heinous crimes, why don't I just bring up NK? Because I was in a really good live of What's the Obsessions the other night. And, there's been a push for years. Many people have been pushing to try to get NK interrogated and investigated and held accountable for obstruction of justice, for destroying evidence, for lying to the officials, you name it. These are just the crimes that we know of. And many of us suspect that there's a heck of a lot more, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And a lot of people like to say, oh, no, D.A. Rourke, he said it's all good. And yeah, how many more times do we have to see these corrupt politicians and officials, like in the Micah Miller case? How many more times do we have to continue to see them wreak havoc on people's lives and termination of their living before we can just think for ourselves and say, just because Small Fry's a police chief, it doesn't mean that he speaks the truth. Just because Corporal Brett Payne was the lead detective on the case and he has a master's degree and he served in our military, an elite squad of paratroopers, just like Kopak, and just like his big brother, Kyle Payne. Just because they have done heroic things, it doesn't make them heroes. There are too many people that will abuse that power. And we see it again and again, and it's absolutely devastating. What are your thoughts on Kate? Oh, Sherry, I'm happy that you asked that. She's gross. I never heard all the stuff you told us about Amanda. I know, and I wanted to talk about that because a lot of people don't know much about what really implicates her and her boyfriend, Rafaela Solisho, I think is how you say his name. And, I'm still learning. When I first was looking at this case most recently, I still thought that he was not so guilty. I thought he kind of got snagged up into the situation, but I don't think that anymore. I think he's very guilty. I mean, I still think he got snagged up into it, but I think that his guilty knowledge and participation and cover up makes him just as guilty as Amanda. And yeah, we'll talk more about that and talking more about Kate. Yeah, I don't like to say what I think happened to her, but these women, these beautiful, intelligent women that people want to take down, either because they're jealous or they see them as being in the way, basically. When I got a new phone, it made me make a profile, and I had just changed my name to Anna Bees. So it was saying I couldn't be Anna Bees at first, but then it let me. So then I had to resub to all my faves. Oh my goodness, that's wild. Sherry says, my thoughts are the same on Kate and Kylie. And also says, I didn't know this stuff about AK. Don't follow her. Oh, she's so manipulative. It's so tragic. So, to put it simply, I think that one of the many pieces of hard evidence that is really the nail in her and her boyfriend of 6 days. She actually had a boyfriend back in Seattle. BJ, I think was his name. But Rafaela, who she'd been with for an entire 6 days, the thing that implicates the two of them the most, in my opinion, one of the many, many things, is the footprint of the red stuff in the bathroom at Amanda and Meredith's apartment or home, their residence. So Rafaela has a very distinctive footprint. He has what is called hammer toe. And I've seen a picture of the footprint, and it's absolutely bizarre. And then just yesterday, I was looking up hammer toe and how common is it, because it's not common. It's 3% of the population. Okay, let's just start there. 3% of the population. Most people who have hammer toe are women for some reason. I don't know if it's like an arthritic thing or what. But so then that would bring it down to, somewhere under 1.5% of the population are men with hammer toe. But hammer toe isn't just with the big toe like it is with him. Hammer toe can be on any of your 10 toes. And some people have more than 10 toes. So it can be on any of your toes. And it can really take many, many shapes and forms. It's not at all a consistent thing. So the hammer toe footprint in the red stuff at their residence is the same hammer toe footprint as Rafaela's. So both him and Amanda, I think their final answer is that they weren't there. So obviously they were. So I don't know. I guess he could say he was running around in his bare feet in the morning when the law enforcement caught them there. And see, I don't think they expected to get caught there when they went there to get cleaning supplies to go clean up more at his apartment. So, just a quick rundown of some of the other evidence that really makes it seem that they are 100% guilty is the sharp weapon that was in his kitchen drawer that had a commingling of Meredith and Amanda Knox's red stuff. There was a commingling of those two women's red stuff in multiple rooms in the house that they live in, including the bathroom, the hallway, Meredith's room where it happened, and even in one of the other rooms of one of the other roommates where... Anyway, it's just so sad, and it's so tragic, and it's so disgusting. But let me get moving on to some of your comments here. And Kate Middleton, Prince William was asked if she was doing better. He said yes. Right. 20 minutes ago, posted on internet. Well, he's said a lot of weird things, and he keeps hanging out with Rose Hambrick. And, it seems like she's replacing Kate. It seems like her children are replacing his children. There's a lot of weird stuff going on with his kids, too. Oh, Sherry, you're hilarious. Jazz, you were so smart. Didn't know about the hammer toes. That's one of the last things I learned about the case, actually. Having looked at the case multiple times over the years, that piece had escaped me until maybe just like a month ago. Um, but the technicality, and I can't remember if it was you, Sherry, or someone else that was trying to help me articulate it more clearly. The technicality that Rafaela and Amanda got their convictions overturned twice on was a corruption of the DNA evidence. But the DNA evidence is what was used by the courts to convict Rudy, the other black man who served a 13-year sentence, or 13 years of a 16-year sentence. And he was released, I think, in 2021. So Rudy was definitely there too, in my opinion. He definitely participated. I believe it was all three of them. I don't think there was more than that. I don't think there was less than that. And the courts left the disposition of the case, even after overturning it twice, with the facts that they know that there was more than one attacker. I mentioned this to you guys recently, and let me just say, trigger warning, that one of the things that we don't hear about here in America, because it all gets censored by CNN, in my opinion, or it did back then and probably still does. But there were two wounds that could have caused her to cease existence. And they believe that they happened simultaneously. They know that they happened with two separate weapons. So there were two separate weapons that essentially cut into where her jugular would be on each side. And there was a lot of the red stuff and absolutely tragic. So why was Amanda's red stuff there? I believe that she might have gotten a bloody nose. I mean, she got a scratch on her neck, and a lot of people don't know about that scratch on the neck. I think I put a photograph of that in my community tab again recently. So there was about a 1-inch scratch on the neck, about a 1/4 inch wide, that definitely looks like a fingernail scratch. We know that Meredith was almost a black belt in karate. I like to say it like SpongeBob. Karate. Got to keep a little bit of lightness here in this horrific reality. And, it was 3 against 1 with weapons. So she didn't have a chance. I mean, even though she was a small person, Meredith, she was obviously mighty with her martial arts. And even when you're small, you can still put up a really good fight. I mean, sometimes the smaller ones put up the best fight. Oh, Shan's here. Late but listening. Lovely to see you, my dear. Are you outside gardening? You are so awesome with your mad skills. I love what you did with that tree stump. You guys check out Shan's short if you want to put a link to it here, but you might be too busy with your hands. It's really cool. She just does a little tour of this tree stump that her and her sister took down with chainsaws. I've never done anything like that. I mean, just the weed whacker is about as much of a powerful tool fighting nature that I have used. Anyway, they took down the entire tree, and then she turned it into like a cool little miniature mountain garden kind of thing with rocks and all kinds of cool stuff. It's really, really beautiful. And yeah, tree stump removal is extremely expensive and completely unnecessary. You can do a lot with a tree stump to make it beautiful, like Shan did, or you can just leave it and the dead wood becomes a habitat for many creatures. That tree was uprooted. We had to dig out the base to get it to go back into its footprint after we cut up the whole tree. Oh my goodness, man. And I know you've been dealing with poison oak or poison ivy or poison sumac. 2 or 3 of those, right? The poison sumac and the poison ivy, I think I've heard you say. That sounds terrible. Absolutely terrible. Let me highlight that one. So, yeah, I want to slow down for a second. I'm like covering so many cases already, and what we've only been on for less than half an hour, and I've hit hard on the Meredith Kircher case. Haven't hit too hard yet on the Micah Miller case, but touched on it. Same with Kylie. Kate Middleton. So you guys were asking about Kate Middleton. Let's hit that one. I have all 3 on top of each other. Ooh, it's scarring. Wow. Well, with your with the bloodline that you've shared, like Native American, Greek, German, is that right? Something like that. I'm thinking you must have some thick skin, girl, because just one of those things would like throw me a curveball. I've got very sensitive skin, a lot of the Irish, a little bit of the German, a little bit of the Native American, but the Irish really rules and also the Hollandaise. The Hollandaise and the Irish really rule the sensitive skin on my person. Man, all 3. That sounds awful. That sounds just awful. Like, I hope you're using steroid cream or something. I heard she was guilty. Yes, red flags. She is guilty. She was guilty. She will always be guilty. But she's only been convicted permanently of the slander against Patrick Lumumba. She has had the red rum charges, convictions overturned twice, which is absolutely devastating. The Kircher family, Meredith's family is devastated. I think a lot of the entire country, like they already didn't like us Americans to begin with. And then she's got to go do that and just make Americans look that much more hateful and spiteful. Skin like leather over here, girl. That's amazing. But that's a good metaphor too, right? To have a thick skin. It keeps you fit for duty on the YouTube because you kind of have to. Shan, I feel for you on the poison stuff. I was so allergic to it. I always got it from head to toe. It was miserable. Please wear sunscreen. Skin cancer is a real thing. And yeah, I don't do any gardening without being completely covered from head to toe, like socks, boots, long jeans, long sleeves, a hat, sunglasses. I mean, I get sunburned really easily too, but also gloves, because you just never know what you're going to get into when it comes to those things, or even things like animal excrement. I mean, you just never know what you're going to get into. So I think you can't be too careful. And I can't tell you how many times I've not had my gloves and I've like bruised my fingers, and that is not fun to have happen. I had it happen just like a week ago. So I never got poison until 2018 when I trimmed the tree lines back 6 feet, pulling the roots. The worst thing you guys can do, just so you know, in case you don't already know this, and I only know this for sure with poison ivy, but I would imagine with the poison oak and sumac as well. Worst thing in the world you can do is burn that stuff. Breathing in those fumes can take you out. So not everybody knows that. And some people will actually burn their poison ivy after they eradicate it. And then they land in the hospital. And if they're lucky, they get out of the hospital. So just know that you can't do that, because the fumes, it gets it right into your lungs and then your bloodstream and everything. Dad was a golfer. He has so much skin cancer. Oh, I am so sorry to hear that. That is frightening. Yeah, I have to keep a really close eye on my skin. I did way too much sunbathing, sun worshiping when I was a teenager. And then, like I said, I have such fair and fragile skin. Did you go and get a shot to help? That's a really good question, Sherry. And yeah, if you didn't go and get a steroid shot, I would say just make sure you get the steroid cream. I think, I mean, I know you can get it with a prescription, but I think you might be able to get it. Yeah, like cortisol. Cortisol is without a prescription, and that's a steroid cream. So, so yeah, let's talk about Kate Middleton, because you guys know that after she was last seen in person on December 25th with her family, that there was that ambulance incident where the family was staying for Christmas on December 28th. And what was weird about that ambulance incident was that there was a lot of ambulances and there was no information put forth about it until much delayed. And then slowly came the story about the cancer, and then came the I think confirmed artificial intelligence video of her sitting on the park bench splaining that everything's fine. She's just got cancer, but it's all good. And then all the weird photographs of her that aren't really photographs of her. A lot of weird stuff with Camilla, with King Charles. I don't really know what's going on with Harry and Meghan, but it makes more sense to me now why they jettisoned out of the whole picture. If these allegations are true, that this has been going on for years. What the little girls of Kate's and Rose's are both 8 years old, and the rumor is that Rose's baby daddy is not her husband for that child. The older child, I think she has does she have 12-year-old twin boys? And then, or 12-year-old boy. But either way, her son has filled in for Kate's son at some of these ceremonies recently. And then Kate keeps getting canceled from everything. And I mean, she continues to get canceled from things. And it has seemed to me for a long time that it could have been a domestic violence situation. There, I just spit it out. You know how I like to just put the words together rather than try to mince the words. It could have been a domestic violence situation on December 28th. And then, oh, she's got cancer. Like, really? Isn't that kind of like blaming the victim, but also blaming God? I don't know. I don't like to be a skeptic. I don't enjoy having conspiracy theories, and I hope that it's just a theory. But it's a pretty bad situation to be in when you're like, oh, I hope she just has cancer. Like, that's not a good thing. But yeah, I do hope that it was cancer and not all this other horrible stuff. Sort of like when Kylie was missing. And I don't know about you guys, but I found myself hoping that she was just chained up in somebody's basement. Like, that's not a good thing to hope for. But when you're looking at the alternative, that sounds like at least then she has a chance of survival. So I don't know. We got Shan in the house. Let's talk about Kylie's case, because Mark has been tearing it up with his videos of Angela. And I came into his live last night and I just had to say something about her dress. I've never really spoken about her dress, and I try not to look at it because it's like she's doing, the thing where she's really sticking her chest out and, just being so effeminate. And the sticking the chest out is a lot like NK in her interviews with law enforcement. But this woman was doing that at the press conferences for a missing child. And wearing a tight dress to something like that as a woman, that's just freaking creepy AF. A tight dress made of lace, bright purple. I remember immediately when these things occurred that people were making an analogy of purple dresses with ceremonial robes and such. And I don't know that that's true, but nothing would surprise me in this case. Let's see. Where are we at? Yes, what is happening? Seeing red flags. Kate got same treatment as Diana. Well, and I always figured that Harry and Meghan left to protect Meghan's life. I mean, ugh, really, really gross. Really gross. I think they're trying to disappear Kate. Well, see, my fear is that she was already disappeared, and that's why we haven't seen the kids either, because the kids would be flipping out. Like father, like son, in my opinion. I agree. And yeah, I mean, just, those boys, William and Harry, were so young when that happened to their mother, but they were old enough to see what was going on around them. And especially William, I want to say he was about 12-ish. I don't know for sure. And that maybe Harry was around 8. Again, I don't know their ages. And I don't know math either. So I remember when it happened because I was actually in Hawaii. It was 1997. Is that right? Was that the last time I was in Hawaii? Man, it's been too long. Yeah, it was September of 1997. I was in Honolulu. Actually, no, I was not. I think I was on the outskirts of Honolulu, but I was on Oahu. It was the only time I've ever been to that island. And we were driving around in the rental car, and I heard it on the radio, and I was absolutely devastated and was wishing and praying that it was inaccurate. And I just felt right away that it was a sabotage situation. And yeah, disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And so obvious, like she had just divorced Charles. She was moving on with her life. She was, I believe, engaged to Dodie, the boyfriend that she was dating. And then so sad, his father with all that money, all of his fortune, and he tried so hard to get some semblance of justice. I don't think he ever did. Nothing. We found the most conspiracies have been true. Well, and the thing about that word, that word is used as an insult, and all it means, like the definition, I mean, I could Google it on my cell phone, but I know it off the top of my head. All it means is that more than one person was involved and they spoke about it beforehand, basically. That's all that word means. So I would say that many, many, many crimes are conspiracies. If you have more than one individual doing it and you have a conversation about it before it happens. So let me grab some water real quick. Mark has been getting after it, hasn't he? Absolutely. It's a maternity dress, LOL. What's a maternity dress? Oh, the purple. Is it? Maybe it is. I mean, then it wouldn't be so offensive, actually, if it was a maternity dress, because, yeah, when you're pregnant, finding clothes is difficult, and especially professional clothes. And, what do you wear when you're doing a presentation like that? But that whole presentation was bizarro. Kylie's whole case was bizarro. And that's what I really appreciate about Mark replaying these clips, because when you see it with fresh eyes, with a lot of perspective a long time later. Hindsight's 2020. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry, I need to return that call, and my phone didn't do it. Oh, that's so annoying. Hey, sweetie. What's up? I'm sorry, I can hardly hear you. Yeah, so I'm on a live, just so you. That's okay though. So were you just calling to say it went well? Yay! That's awesome. Congratulations, babe. That is so cool. Well, let me hang up since I'm on my live, and I'm just really proud of you. And drive safe. Are you coming straight home? Okay, cool. So we should see you then when you get here. We'll be leaving probably around the same time. Yeah, yeah. I don't think we have to leave until. Oh, we have to leave before 1:30. So yeah, the appointment's at 2. Okay. Okay, sweetie. Well, rock on, girlfriend. Did they tell you if you got it? Sweet. Excellent. Oh yeah, I think you're fine. They just want to know that you'll be able to deal with it. That's awesome. All right, sweetie. Well, I love you lots. Good job. Mwah. Thanks for letting me know. See you soon. Bye. Oh, how awesome is that? That's hilarious to have my call with my daughter. So she had a big interview, and it sounds like she nailed it. So super cool. First job in her field, like specifically of occupational therapy. I mean, she's done work in jobs that translate into occupational therapy, but this is an actual OT job. So very, very cool. In a hospital and everything. And she had a panel interview after only having interviews over the phone. She had to do like a panel in person. So there's a little bit of pressure. Anyway, YouTube has redefined the meaning of conspiracy. I read the definition too. Oh, please share if you want. But that might be a lot to type. I don't know. Yeah, the purple dress is a maternity dress, size too small. Was she pregnant? Is that why she resigned? Because she had her baby? Because that would put things in a different light for me. I mean, I still think she's an evil whack job, but at least it would make more sense, and none of it makes sense. There is nothing in Kylie's case is true. That's exactly what I believe, Anna Bees. I think the whole thing is bizarro. What's the difference between the truth and a conspiracy? Shan, about 6 months. That's great. That is hilarious. That is a really good one. I gotta highlight that. I've never heard that. Did you just make that up? That's perfect. Um, yeah. That's like one of my jokes, which is what's the difference between a good haircut and a bad haircut? A couple of weeks, right? Yes, she had one, I think, in March, April of 2023. Well, all I can say is that I hope nothing happens to her or her child like what happened to Kylie Rodney. I mean, these people are heartless, absolutely heartless. And I don't know if she had a boy or a girl, either way, but especially if she had a baby girl. I just hope that her child never gets victimized the way Kylie Rodney got victimized, in my opinion, because I don't think any evidence shows that she did anything to herself. Nothing. Nothing by accident, nothing on purpose, nothing. And they really tried to go with that whole like self-injurious mentality with that sweatshirt, with that Lana Del Rey hoodie at first. That was like their plan A. That fell apart. Then they went with plan B. Oh, she was abducted by aliens. I mean, not aliens, but, dudes from out of town, right? An agreement to perform together an illegal, wrongful, or subversive act. A group of conspirators. Law. An agreement between two or more persons to commit a crime or accomplish a legal purpose. So why is it that people use conspiracy theory as like a dirty word and a weapon? Because this is something that happens all the time. Like every day, unfortunately. Every single day. All over the world. Sandra says, quite accurate. Through illegal action, conspiracy means the above, but not conspiracy unless they merge the definition. Oh, conspire means, right. And then theory just means, I like to say it can't be a conspiracy theory if it's true and accurate, because then it's an actual conspiracy, not just a theory. UFOs are real. The government has hidden it. Mr. Mark, I could tell you my UFO story, but then you guys might think I was a real whack job. Now, maybe I have shared it with you guys once or twice. I'll share it because it's pretty, I don't know, pretty germane. When I was a teenager in Southern California, in Tuna Canyon, to be specific, which is right next to Topanga Canyon, me and a couple of my friends and one of their moms saw this giant thing that looked more like an office building than a spaceship, that was like real tall vertically, and it was like hovering over the tip of the canyon mountain where it kind of jetted out over the ocean almost. And so we're driving up to their house. They lived up in Tuna Canyon, and that was back when like nobody lived there. And so we got to where this thing was because we couldn't really see it until we were right on it. And we stopped the car and we were just like, what in the world? It was around the time of like Star Wars and Battleship Galactica. I want to say it was before E.T. But anyway, it being from outer space never crossed my mind, literally. I thought Russians. I really thought Russians. I thought this is just some flying thing that is nothing like any other flying thing I'd ever seen before. And it had like 150 lights. And like I said, it looked like an office building hovering like, I don't know, 10 feet above the ground. And we were just like in such awe. We were like shocked and speechless, but we're all like standing there or sitting in the car, like rubbing our eyes, looking at it. And it suddenly just like bolts straight out over the ocean and starts turning out all the lights. The lights were like white and yellow and red and maybe a couple of blue, but they just started shutting them all down. And then we like raced to get to the house where the dad and one of the siblings was. And by the time we got there, it was way out over the ocean, but it stopped. And there were just 3 lights on the horizon. And, so next to each other. So 1 light in the middle, 1 on either side. And even with just the 3 lights and like a mile or 2 out there, the dad and the sister were like, whoa, what is that? And we never really spoke about it. And like I said, I always, for many, many years, thought, Russians. And then when I saw that movie, Independence Day, Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith, it was a lot like what they portrayed in the movie. So I'll just leave it at that. So there's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay. I don't think I've shared that before, have I? I don't share with a lot of people because, I don't want people to think that I've been abducted or anything, because we definitely weren't. And we didn't see any beings. We just saw the vessel, I guess you'd call it. And the government created the UFOs, UAPS, we see today through reverse engineering from the 50s to the 80s. Well, it really made me curious that what I saw was so much like what was in that movie. Like that was probably the first time I thought maybe it wasn't Russians. And now that I'm like, 40 years older and there's like no Russian vessels like that I know of, I think, head scratcher. In my opinion, the UFOs come from fallen angel technology. Colonizers and government agencies steal everyone's inventions and make it their own, usually to keep the herd in check. When they say forbidden knowledge, they mean stolen knowledge only for the 1%. Nope, never heard that story. Well, now you've heard it from the horse's mouth, and now I'm going to have to delete it out of all of our brains, like they did in that Independence Day. That was a great movie. I remember seeing that in a theater in San Francisco when it came out. I think it came out right around the 4th of July. I think I saw it with my mom and my husband. I think it was a theater on Geary Street. Not that that means anything to anybody else. Well, a few people, I'm sure, know Geary Street in San Francisco. Anyway, it was a pretty cool movie. And it definitely made me rethink my whole Russian theory. But UFOs run off something like Mercury and Tesla technology to create an anti-gravity axis. Loved Independence Day. Yeah, I'm a big Tommy Lee Jones fan. I love The Fugitive, man. He rocked that. Men in Black or Independence Day? Thank you, Mr. Mark. I don't know. I think Independence Day, but maybe both. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Who knows? Once I cross my wires, they're crossed forever. And isn't it the same to actors? Isn't it Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones that starred in both of those? Stranger Things, Truckee. Yeah. Men in Black is Tommy Lee Jones. Is he in Independence Day also? Anyway, shall we veer off from the aliens and get back to Idaho 4? Because I spent a lot of time in that chat last night. Like, I think I got there when it was like 2 minutes in with Jules of All Trades, and that was fun because I haven't had a lot of interaction with her, so that was cool. She does an amazing job, doesn't she? I mean, she's just really straightforward and down to earth, and that's my kind of thing. I know Shan's a big fan. And her sister just had a baby, and it was like a serious medical emergency, and thank goodness they're all okay. That's fantastic. Jules is phenomenal. Yeah, she is. I mean, the painstaking, listening to the whole testimony provided by Brett Payne, which I didn't see it live when it happened, but then I did see parts of it, but I hadn't watched the whole thing from start to finish. And it is really like a nothing burger, isn't it? Like, the dude didn't really cop to knowing anything other than his name. I mean, really, honestly, seriously. I mean, and that's typical. I mean, people are evasive when they're being dishonest. The I don't remember is classic. And he didn't seem to know anything or remember anything. It was really annoying, wasn't it? But they did a good job of tearing it apart. But I honestly don't think that Koberger, I don't think he's guilty. And I don't think he's got a snowball's chance of being found not guilty. I think that once law enforcement likes you, that's the terminology that people use. Once law enforcement likes you for a crime, you don't have a chance. And with all this wrongful conviction awareness and the Innocence Project, and then people like Amanda Knox that want to come in and say, yeah, that's what happened to me. And, being innocent, being found not guilty is not being found innocent. That just means there wasn't enough evidence to convict you, right? I mean, I don't have to tell you guys that. You know. So Tommy Lee Jones is not an Independence Day. Should we Google it? But it is Will Smith. Who else would it be? I think that they were both in both, but I don't know. Let's see. I really hope you do Conspiracy Thursdays. Love Jules too. Do you see Tommy Jude video with Antoine last night? I have no idea what you're talking about. Please share. I don't know. Are these content creators? I just got to get this garden to where I'm only maintaining and harvesting from it. I'm still planting. Should be done by late June, and I can get back to the lives. Can't wait. Yeah. I haven't done so much gardening this year. I try to do enough that the work that I've done in the past can really show, because I have spent many years working my tail off. My mother actually got all the gardens started around the property that we live on. And when she got unwell and couldn't garden anymore, she would kind of coach me and tell me what to do. The first year I didn't do it. I wasn't going to. I had no desire to garden. And then it was just sad to see it kind of go into pots, because you have to weed to make it look all right. It didn't do so bad that first year, but then the second year I started weeding, and then I just got bitten by that gardening bug and I got addicted. And it was great because I had a coach. I had somebody I could run questions by, because there's a lot to know. And she was like an encyclopedia. And anything you don't know, you can ask people, you can Google it, or you can just make it up as you go along. It's very intuitive. So, weeding is the big thing. You got to get the weeds out to make anything happen, right? Tommy Lee Jones in Independence Day. So who's in it with Will Smith? Covering Idaho 4. I think he was on same time as Jules, Once Upon a Crime. Okay. Yeah. Is that the channel that I think it has the same thumbnail profile picture as Brent Kopaka's Facebook? Or is that different? I need to look, because it's been a while. Oh, Bill Pullman and Jeff Goldblum in Independence Day? Wow, I don't remember that at all. But yeah, Bill Pullman is in my favorite movie, Zero Upbacked. Okay, I'm going to get to your question, Fred, but let me quickly look up the Once Upon a Crime. Once Upon a Crime Time. It's a very different channel than that other one that I mentioned. Good. I think I have not paid attention to that other one. Okay, I'm going to put the phone down, because I start fubbing you guys and then I'm like brain dead. Okay. Fred, what did you think of the Maddie Soto's body cams released yesterday? Disgusting. Mom Jen looks more and more guilty too. So Fred, I kind of intentionally looked away from that train wreck. I had just brought up the mom, I think a week ago, and not wanting to convict her verbally as knowing things, although it seems very likely that she did. And yeah, I saw that those videos were out. I saw those on the streets of YouTube, but I didn't watch them. That whole case is so disgusting. But one thing that I did notice just from looking at people's thumbnails is I hadn't noticed before how much Maddie and Jen look alike. So that was kind of wild. And yeah, it's really, really sad. I don't want to say that I have compassion for somebody who does that, no matter what their history is. Often people who do that kind of thing have been victimized themselves. A lot of mothers find themselves, I think, in that situation where they're with somebody who's abusive to their children and they don't do anything about it. And I think that is just inexcusable. We have to protect our children. And for people to choose a boyfriend or a spouse over a child, like the freaking Daybells, I mean, absolutely horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. It's so sick. Yes, just Googled it. Annabise, thank you. Bill Pullman and Jeff Goldblum. I don't know how you say his name. I love both of those actors. So Bill Pullman, I told you, starred in Zero Effect, which is such a great movie. And then Jeff Goldblum, we know, starred in many movies. He was married to Gina Davis for a while. He was in The Fly. He was in Jurassic Park. Oh, he was really good in The Big Chill. That's where I first noticed Jeff Goldblum. Goldblum. I always want to put another L in there. He was really good in The Big Chill. And then who was the actress that he hooked up with in that movie? Like their characters hooked up. She had been the girlfriend of their friend who they all got together to do a celebration of life for. And then in the end of the movie, their characters hook up. She was a really good actress, but all of a sudden picturing her, she kind of reminds me a little bit of Micah Miller, just her look and kind of her spirit. A ton of cast in Independence Day. The Men in Black is Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. So, yeah, I think it was The Men in Black was the one that really had the same type of, what do you want to call it, a flying spacecraft or something. Independence Day was pretty over the top with these super elaborate, gargantuan, like took over the screen and took over the planet. Like I remember the big spaceships, like blocking out the sun and stuff like that, right? Love both of those movies and actors. Kind of changed my mind on Will Smith now, though. You know, Sherry, I have some compassion for Will Smith because just the other day something came up about him. And when he hit Chris Rock, I don't think anybody knew what Will had been going through with Jada. You know, allegedly her affair with their child's friend, and that's all I know. I have not paid attention to that train wreck, but it seems like there was so much more to that situation that Chris Rock just hit a raw nerve. And what Will did was not okay. And I also think it wasn't okay that he didn't get prosecuted for it. But I can't imagine what he'd been going through for a very long time. And then, you know, here he was trying to protect this person who was really treating him badly. So I don't know. I mean, I love the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I mean, it's hard when you've got somebody with that much talent and a career like that. And oh, so sad. So sad. Yeah, he hosed himself up by doing that. And, you know, Chris Rock didn't deserve that. I'd seen you chatting it up. And Jules last night said hey to you and tried to stay up with the chatters. Did I say hi back, Sandra? It's so hard to remember everything. It's all a blur, right? I know that I was saying hi to people that I was noticing said hi to me. Oh, but you know what? I was doing yoga while I was watching, so I missed a lot of the chat. So if I didn't say hi, that's why. Because I always want to do yoga when I'm listening to my true crime, but I usually don't because it seems kind of sacrilegious or something. But I did. I admit it. Like, I've literally thought about like having my AirPod in and listening to true crime while I'm doing yoga, like, because it's my two favorite things. So what are you going to do? They both take a lot of time. So that was actually pretty cool to be able to do both simultaneously. And I think I mastered it. And even with one of my teenagers like blasting some freaking music while I was in the middle of all that. So then I had the three things going on audioly. And I just tried to stay focused because I didn't want to stop and interrupt what I was doing to say, turn the effing music down, and I like that my kids like music. So I was like, I just tried to like get into the Zen and let it go and just be like, don't focus on it. Focus on the things you're trying to focus on. So it was like it was an exercise. It was a mental exercise, right? So we're just hitting an hour. Oh, Anna, you're so sweet. Let's see. I'm off for a few weeks. I'm going to watch some movies. Watch I Love You to Death. True story. Excellent cast. River Phoenix is in that. He's my favorite. One of my favorites. Kevin Kline is in that. He's also excellent. And Zero Effect. Those are two of my all-time favorite movies. I have a couple other like all-time favorites. The Fugitive is a mainstream movie that is an all-time favorite. Both of those are more alternative, like indie films. That weird movie, My Own Private Idaho, I don't know. That was a good one, but creepy AF. Also River Phoenix. And then Drugstore Cowboy. That was another creepy good one. Bandits is another mainstream that I love. Not Tommy Lee Jones, but the other guy. Tommy that was married to Angelina Jolie. What's his name? Isn't it Tommy Lee something? Help me out here, people. Who was married to Angelina Jolie when she adopted her first kid? Bandits is so good with Bruce Willis. Oh my goodness. Billy Bob Thornton. Thank you. Love Billy Bob. And I never could understand why Angelina Jolie loved him until I saw that movie. And then I was like, okay, I get it now. He is hilarious. He's so cute and funny. Okay. So thanks for saying that you love the yoga, Anna Bees. I love it. And so the routine that I have, the yin routine, is about an hour long. I'm really polishing it up. It's getting better and better. I am going to privatize my yoga videos and just make them members only, just because they are a little embarrassing and I don't want to like turn people away from my channel that they go there and go, oh, it's just a bunch of yoga crap. So I'm going to make the yoga and the singing videos members only. And I already have some members only videos, but not a lot. And then I'm going to leave like a really good polished version of my masterclass up. So right now, the most recent one I'll leave up. I was going to privatize them or switch them to members only in the next couple of days. And then once I do another one, because I have tweaked it a little bit since my last recording, and I'm like streamlining it. So it's just getting smoother basically. So I took out some of the hard stuff, but then it was too easy. So I put the hard stuff back in, but just know that all of it is optional. And when I say hard stuff, I'm talking about the shoulder stand, the plow, and something else. What was the other one that came right before the shoulder stand and the plow? I can't remember anything. Anyway, so yeah, know that any of the exercises, you can modify them or you can skip them, But the whole point of it is that it's super relaxing and super rejuvenating, and that it's literally like taking a nap. You're laying down for most of it, which isn't like most yoga. If you're not laying down, you're at least sitting down, and simultaneously you're getting a great workout. So it is really awesome. And Sandra says, I couldn't tell you I was struggling reading chat and listening to Jules. I know sometimes it's so hard to do both. I'll just like do one or the other, and sometimes it's like the chat, you don't want to miss it. I can't do 3 things at a time. Glad you can. I was amazed that I was able to. Like, I really thought I was going to have to hit pause on my yoga class and address the music turning down, but I just saw it as an opportunity to try to focus on the things that I want to focus on. Because it was really annoying, and normally I would like kind of be a biatch about it. I'd be like, turn the effing music down, I'm doing my thing. Says, you know how teenagers are, so considerate, right? Yeah, I'll watch that one. I have to cheer myself for any moving that I do. I have to learn to love myself. Oh, that's so sweet, Anna. And yeah, cheer yourself for taking care of yourself, even if you're not moving. Do what you need to do and honor yourself. Absolutely. Yeah. Seeing Red Flag says, I got to write these. Bandits is one of the cutest movies. Like I said, Billy Bob, Bruce Willis, and Cate Blanchett, and January Jones. That's where she got her start. She's good in that. Learning to love myself, started counseling after leaving a 28-year abusive job. Seeing Red Flags, I am so glad that you left, and I'm so glad that you shared, because a lot of people don't realize how damaging that can be. It's just as damaging as an abusive marriage, in my opinion. And you can really damage yourself psychologically as well as physically by allowing yourself to be in that environment. And I'm not blaming you at all. I mean, I was in a stupid job for the last couple of years that I finally resigned from. But it's hard. I mean, you try to make the most of it. You try to put your best foot forward. You try to focus on the good and minimize the bad. And, it's really good to have a paycheck. So, you do what you can. And I know when I worked inpatient, I saw a lot of people in the psychiatric facility that were there because of a bad relationship that went on for too long. And some of those relationships were jobs. And one in particular was a director of another psychiatric facility. So she'd been at that psychiatric facility for like 30 years, and it was effed up. And she was one of the worst cases that we had. And I'm not saying that our facility was better, because I didn't work there for that long, and there was some pretty foul stuff going on there too. It's always hard when you're in a bureaucracy. And at that point in time, it was when HMOs were taking over, and that was really cramping everybody's style. So yes, love yourself, seeing Red Flags. Absolutely. Absolutely. You gotta go, girl. Yeah. You don't move the last one. Yes, don't move the last one you did. Yeah, Annabees, I won't. Not until I get a new one up, which will hopefully happen in the next couple of days. But I know I was saying that for like weeks and weeks and weeks before I ever did it. So I try not to make promises on my YouTube stuff, because you just never know. Like even getting on live today was a challenge, because I was going to go with my daughter to her interview just to support her and check it out. But she was fine either way. And I was like, I'm really trying to get my groove back with my YouTube thing. So I'm really happy to be here with you guys. And thank you for being here with me. It's been a nightmare, but I finally said no to their last demand. So how long has it been, seeing Red Flags? And again, thank you for sharing. I'm really glad that you shared it publicly here, because it's something that we all need to hear. And, I was embarrassed that I put up with so much stupid crap at that job for a couple of years. I was really embarrassed to myself and to my family. And, it was a very unique position, and a lot of it I can't discuss. So just leave it at that. You got to take care of yourself. You got to do what's best for yourself and best for your family. So that's what's most important. Yes, my paycheck is what keeps me in the hospital, even though it's toxic. So I imagine that you're saying that you work in a hospital, Anna Bees, not that your paycheck keeps you hospitalized. But yeah, any big bureaucracy is really rough, and hospitals are notoriously bad. I mean, you get those shows like ER and Grey's Anatomy or General Hospital, and just the dynamic with the doctors and the nurses, and it's just a lot of weird power play. But that happens in pretty much any work situation. And I think one of the things that makes all the difference in the world is having a good supervisor. Another thing that makes all the difference in the world is pushing back and saying no and standing up for yourself and standing your ground. You absolutely are entitled to do that, and you must, not just in work situations, but really in any relationship, like let's get back into the Micah Miller case, because there's one that can really speak to that. The poor girl, the poor woman, put up with so much. She tried so hard to make that marriage work. There was so much reason for her to try to make it work. And she knew the cards were stacked against her if she tried to get out. And she knew that this guy was going to put a bullet in her head. I mean, come on. And it really drove me nuts when this case first broke, and people would say things to the effect of, well, she framed him by saying that before she did it. And you're like, that was the ultimate revenge. And it's like, yeah, that's possible, but I don't think so. I mean, no, she wasn't manipulative like that. She wasn't conniving like that. She was a decent person. She was a good person. She wasn't trying to hurt people. She was trying to protect herself. Whereas JP, no, he's the kind of person who likes to hurt everybody. And he says it himself in his own words directly, in texts and emails, verbally. I mean, he's all about number one, and nobody matters except him. Let's see. And I love my patients. Yeah. It's really good to have. I mean, feeling like you're helping people is so rewarding. It's such a great feeling. And feeling appreciated. Kudos to you, seeing red flags. That is a hard thing to do, and you have been strong to do that. So yeah, a lot of people in the yoga teacher training certification that I was in were making decisions like that. I don't want to talk about other people's stuff. I'll only talk about my own. Had I not been in that yoga teacher training, I don't think I would have stood my ground and gotten out of the situation that I was in. Thank you, Anna and Jazz. I'm learning I did have boundaries. Yay. Yeah, we have to maintain our healthy boundaries. And it's so hard just to take care of yourself physically, like getting exercise when you're working full time. Because when you're not at work, you're exhausted and you have got a bunch of other things you got to do to take care of. It's so hard. It was really hard. God's been good on my last day. Oh, you were just on your last day, not even a week ago. Awesome. I got a new job on my last day. I start 7/22. Well, that's great that you've got a little bit of a breather in between. I hope it goes well. New job is less money, but it's not a company with nepotism. My new boss is amazing. That'll make all the difference in the world. And yeah, I've quit jobs that paid well. Like even when I worked for King County Superior Court in Seattle, and that paid very well. And I had to sue them. And then I took a much lower paying job and was very happy about it, because you're not just getting paid with your paycheck, you're getting paid with the good energy, you're getting paid with love and smiles. I know it sounds silly, but it's true. Let's see. Seeing red flags, awesome. God will see you through it. Yes, Sandra Linkford. Absolutely. Got to trust that. I'm wishing all the best. Woot woot. Micah Case hits home for me in so many ways. She was beautiful inside and out. And again, the cards are so heavily stacked against her. If there was a big cover up, and it seems like there absolutely was, it's going to be really hard for her family to undo it. And I'm so glad to be remembering right now, it's 1:00 my time. She's on East Coast time too, even in her afterlife. South Carolina is on East Coast time. Her family is having a press conference today at 2:30, you guys. So an hour and a half. There was some type of court hearing, I think, with complaint that they filed against JP for maybe wrongful death, and that the hearing was canceled, but there's going to be a press conference, and I'm so curious. I still think that he could easily get arrested. I think that his church, Solid Rock, that he was kind of the owner of. I mean, I think his father had been in that position, and then I think he was in that position. And I think that the church has abandoned him completely, which they're not going to do unless they have to protect themselves. You know, what church is going to abandon their pastor based on baseless allegations, or allegations that they don't know have any bearing in reality or not? They're only going to cut ties when they know that there's that they need to protect themselves from that. So to all the women, you are beautiful, you are strong, you are loved, you are important. Love yourself. You know that song, Gotta Be? Who is that artist? Female, black, in the 90s. You Gotta Be? You guys know the song I'm talking about. We can Google it. Thank you, Anna and Sandra. I hope he gets arrested. I know. And, you know, it seems like the federal authorities are not only investigating him and his attorney for whatever it was that they were already investigating them for prior to this. It seems like they're being investigated for Micah's passing too. I'm still here and listening. Love and blessings to you all, ladies. Sorry, I was making lunch for Fee and I. Oh, that sounds good. I need some lunch. I'm going to have to wrap up too. Not right away, but soon. And let me turn my fan off. Oh, I almost knocked my water down. So, and I haven't been showing you the chakra tower. How dare me block it? I need to figure out a way to set things up so that I'm sitting off to the side, and that, you know, the way I have this room, it's like this is a corner, and I don't know. I'm constantly trying to wrap my mind around it. You know, it doesn't help that I am always transforming the YouTube studio into a yoga studio. It'd be nice if I had both separate, but I don't. I have one. So I'm happy that I have the one, and I just try to make it work. What a piece of work. Lock him up. JP was not giving the money he was raising to Africa. And I think he was trying to make money off of Micah's passing too. Like, he was recommending in her memorial service that he provided for himself, that people donate money in her name to his Africa thing, wasn't he? JP is a fraud and needs arrested for a plethora of crimes. Yeah, like let's start with the statutory, okay? I mean, if he's admitted to multiple victims, there's affidavits from some of those victims. And, of course, everybody wants to protect them from having to deal with that. But getting justice is a good way to protect them. Ugh. So sad. I don't doubt that seeing red, he's a sleaze bag. JP, jail, prison, justice, please, for Micah. Yeah, that's a good one, Sandra. So let me look at my notes and see what else we want to discuss. And if you guys have anything you want to discuss before we wrap up. We hadn't really said that much about the Idaho 4. That case, I think, is like Kylie's case in that it's just a freaking dog and pony show. And I do think that the criminal defendant is going to be either convicted or something's going to happen to him and there's never going to be a trial. I hope that I'm wrong. I hope that there's justice for everybody and that whoever did it is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And I'm just afraid that it was the law that did it. I really am. Honestly, I really am. Even if they didn't do it, if they were part of the cover-up, part of the orchestration. Yeah. I mean, all of those noise complaint calls, even the one where they said they didn't get a noise complaint call, but they were pretending that they got the noise complaint call, and then they went to the back door. Was that Rosie, the one tall guy who took the photograph of Kaylee's ID, and then that other sergeant, the older, heavier set guy who said, "Oh, look, no access to the balcony." And that was the same sergeant that had interacted with her the previous year when she was making a report that she thought she saw that missing woman at the Walmart. I can never remember his name. He was the one who arrived, I think, in the same car with Brett Payne, and it took them 4 hours to get there. Like, that is insane, you guys. So you got the 8 hours of the frozen shock phase, and then you got the 4 hours of the lead investigator's frozen shock phase. Like, give me an effing break. There is no reason to have him be the lead investigator, especially if it's going to take him 4 hours to get there. But who's that other sergeant? Do you guys know who I'm talking about? The one who said, "Oh, look, no access to the balcony." So, they trespassed on that property. That was an illegal trespass. And then they also lied, saying that they had a noise complaint when they didn't. And they had already confessed that to each other on their body cam. Crazy. Yeah, the LE was certainly involved big time. And the freaking president of the university, Scott Green, or Coomer Scott Green. And then just the fact that his father owned that house back in the 70s, just the fact that they demolished, destroyed the evidence. There's so much to that house. Remember when they said, well, maybe nobody was targeted, maybe the house was targeted? Didn't they say that on day 4? And then it was just like a day or two later, they were like, yeah, we don't know why we said that. The house wasn't targeted. The house definitely wasn't targeted. Yeah, we didn't know what we were talking about. That was crazy talk. Like, that was very revealing. That they said it was very revealing, and then that they tried to take it back. Like, nope, cat's out of the bag. You can't take it back. And the more they tried to take it back, the more they revealed. You gotta love the criminals for always telling on themselves, in my opinion. Yeah. I was a missionary in Africa. The money he promised never arrived. Oh, seeing red flags, you were connected to this? Are you in that area in South Carolina? Or Yeah. Yes, they said it. Yeah, they sure did. So, what else do we want to discuss before we wrap up? We got Amanda Knox and her hammer toe one night stand that lasted 6 nights. We got Micah Miller and the artificial intelligence. Like, I knew right away when I heard that call, that 911 call, not that it was artificial intelligence, but that something was up. Nothing about it seemed real. When people first started talking about it being artificial intelligence, I was like, how? But now that I know a little bit more about artificial intelligence, it seems like you can talk into like a recording kind of thing or into a device, and then it can transform it into whoever's voice you want it to, right? Isn't that how it would work? So it could have been even a male talking and then sounding like Micah. And the $500 cash that she had in her fanny pack. And then this whole thing with this freaking fisherman who took her stuff that was sitting on the bank and then went away to buy a lighter and then came back in a different vehicle. Give me a break, man. Again, these people telling themselves. No, but I hear from other missionaries that the money never came. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, he had too much money wrapped up in his new plane, right? And lots of properties and just living high on the hog. And people like that, there's never ever enough. There's never enough money, there's never enough attention, there's never enough gratification. And then talking about the rugs, I mean, there's mental health issues with him, obviously, and more is coming out about that now. Like, he might have been diagnosed in his late teens with schizophrenia. It seems like he was certainly diagnosed with bipolar. And then, if you've got substance abuse intermingled with that, it's very hard to tease out what's mental health and what's substance abuse. So, again, I'm pretty sure he was 16 when he fathered that first kid that was arrested a couple years ago for, I hadn't looked it up again. I think that his 28-year-old son was arrested like 3 years ago for assaulting women with like breaking glass bottles over their heads or something like that. It sounds like maybe drunk at a bar. I don't know. Do you guys know? Have you heard about that? I could look it up just so I'm not talking out of my rear end as we're wrapping up. Let's see if I can find it easily, because I took a screenshot of the guy's name, but I don't know if I have it handy. Let me look at my photographs and see if I can identify it. See if it's saved, because sometimes I take screenshots and they don't save. So, yeah, and we haven't really talked much about the Watts case either, but that's okay. We don't have to talk about all of the cases in every video, right? So I don't see his name right here. But if I do a Google search for oh, I know where I have it. I sent it to somebody. I sent the video. Logan Hardy was arrested for violating a protection order. I do not know. He was arrested for domestic violence in 2024, busted a glass bottle on back of his wife's head and injury to her arm. So JLR Investigates, he did a video about it. Yeah. And then the father's name, you guys probably already know this. JP's father's name is Reginald Wayne Miller. And yeah, he's a piece of work too. Is he not? I didn't hear that. I thought it was JP dad, but maybe his son. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And this son, according to my math, this son is 28. JP is 44, making JP 16 when he fathered him. So, I mean, that's a rough way to come in to the world with teenage parents. Hopefully there's grandparents that can help. But how much, other than biological fathering, how much fathering did JP really do? I mean, he sounds like a louse of a father with all of his kids. Absolutely. And then to have 5 kids and then to be swooping in on his kid's babysitter. What a wacko. What a terrible, terrible reality for everybody. For his ex-wife, for the kids, for Micah, for Micah's family, I mean, everybody in the church. I mean, when you have narcissists like this, they're not only victimizing the people that they're directly victimizing, they're victimizing everybody around them. Like, the ripple effect is huge, absolutely huge. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap up, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today and sending you love and light. Love will save the day and love saves lives. And we will continue to fight for justice for those who are unable to fight for themselves. Let's take care of ourselves, take care of each other, take care of the people around you and the pets and the plants, all of it. Make sure you water yourself. The hydration is of the utmost importance. We know that, but it's always good to be reminded. And fruits and veggies and high protein, good nutrition is also essential every day, as is resting, relaxing, being kind to yourself, being kind to others, and trying to get some exercise, whether that's stretching or walking or gardening or whatever floats your boat. So see you on the next one. Have a lovely rest of your day. And thanks so much for joining me today. Love and light.